2231. This is a meeting of the Sacramento Metro Cable Television Commission. Is a cable live on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel, and webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. This meeting is closed caption and will be repeated on Saturday, September 7th at noon on Channel 14. Members of the audience wishing to address the board should fill out a speaker slip identified from located at the speaker podium and hand it to the clerk. Karen, can you do roll call?
Yes, sir. Detrick?
Here.
Walter?
Here.
McCarty?
Here.
Moran?
Here.
Natoli?
Here.
Schmidt?
Here.
Chenier? Coronado?
Here.
Turner? Warren?
Here.
And Chong.
Here.
And next is officio Donald Terry. We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. Alan, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Alan. Next item, Karen.
Item number 1 is the closed executive session. It's an ongoing conference with legal counsel on existing litigation pursuant to subdivision A of government section 54956.9, City of LA, Sacramento Metro Cable Television Commission, and the City of El Segundo versus Pacific Bell Telephone Business, doing business as SBC, Pacific Bell Telephone Company, doing business as AT&T California.
Okay, the board will adjourn for closed session. Harriet, are we going to meet in the back room here, or do we need a
Yes, and
conference
it
room?
shouldn't take very long.
Okay, thank you. We'll return in a few minutes. It's on here.
No, it's not.
Is this on? Testing?
Testing.
Checking the back?
Testing. Here we
There
go. Okay, we'll reconvene our regular meeting, and there's nothing to report out of closed session. So can we go to the next item?
Item number 2 is the adoption of 2 resolutions, 2013-016 and 2013-017, approving the fiscal year 2013-14 final general fund budget and the PEG fee fund budget.
Okay, Bob?
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Bob Davison, the Executive Director. I'm here to present the final budget for both the general fund and the PEG fee fund of the Commission. I do want to compliment Karen Liu because the final budget is pretty close to the proposed budget, which goes to the accuracy of the budgeting, and so that's nice to see. So I'm just going to quickly make a few points about each of the funds. The general fund budget proposes $13,177,960 in expenditures, and this is based upon the estimated franchise fee revenue, the fund balance from the previous year, and other minor revenues. The main change from the proposed budget is there's $130,000 extra fund balance that rolled over into this year. Actually, $50,000 of that is rolling over because it was proposed for reserves last year, but something happened to where that money didn't get put into the reserve, and Karen and I are going to work with the county to figure out why that wasn't put into the reserve. But there's also $13,000 extra from Sure West, and that had to do with the audit findings and that we ultimately billed them for, and they paid. And the rest is just with the actuals coming in a little bit less than the estimated amount. And we're recommending that the add to the reserve be increased from $100,000 to $229,000, which will create a reserve balance of $379,000. And that is both putting the $50,000 that should have been put last year into the reserve, as well as the extra money that was rolled over in the fund balance. Now for the PEG fee fund, the 13-14 PEG fee fund budget is, the final budget is based on $2.5 million of PEG fee revenue that is expected to come in next year. There's expenditures of $4.4 million, mainly because of projects rolling over and the funds for those projects rolling over. The budget includes carryover funds of about, that are basically $40,829 more than what was estimated at the proposed budget time. And with that, I recommend that you adopt the resolutions approving the final budgets for both the general fund and the PEG fee fund.
And we have any comments or questions for Bob?
I'll move the resolution.
Second.
So we have a motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? None? Next item.
Okay, item number 3 is the CPUC rulemaking on state video franchisee renewals.
And Harriet Steiner will be doing this presentation.
Good afternoon. Several months ago, the California Public Utilities Commission started a proceeding on how it was going to do renewals of state franchises under DIVCA. As the Commission will recall, quite some time ago, the state adopted a law which we call DIVCA, which provided for state franchising of cable companies. And the first round of franchises were fairly automatic. If the cable operator came in, said they would comply with the law, they were issued a franchise for the area that they had requested. At the time this process started, the California Public Utilities Commission, who issues the franchises, did not deal with what the rules would be on renewal. And now we're a little bit more than halfway through the first set of state franchises, and the California Public Utilities Commission wanted to do a rulemaking on how renewals of franchises would work. And so the League of California Cities, CPUC, and a number of other local public agencies filed comments in that proceeding. And because it occurred in the summer, and because you hold two state, Comcast, AT&T, and Shore West all hold state franchises, we participated in that joint filing. And the filing really is a procedural filing. It really asks the question of what kind of process should be used when the CPUC decides to renew a franchise. And the position that was taken by the League and CPUC and the rest of us was that there should be a meaningful opportunity for public agencies, local public agencies that administer the franchise, like the Commission, and the public to comment on the state franchise holder prior to the CPUC reissuing or issuing a new franchise in a renewal process. And that's based in the statute. The statute says that renewals should occur consistent with federal law, and federal law asks the question of whether or not the franchises are meeting community needs. And so to meet that section of DIVCA, we felt that it was important that we have an opportunity to go forward with each state franchise and state whether or not there are any issues, whether there's any reason why the renewal should or should not happen. So, what we filed on your behalf is along with this consortium was basically a pleading that said, rather than just rubber stamp the renewal, because the date is up, we think you should actually give notice to the public, notice to the local agencies who enforce the franchise, and ask whether or not there are any issues, and then consider those comments at a meaningful time before you issue a franchise. And so we have those pleadings. Karen has a set of them if you would like to see them. And they were filed in the middle of the summer. And right now the CPUC has the issue under submission. And we expect they'll issue some type of scoping memo and potentially have some hearings in the upcoming months. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Is there any comments or questions for Harriet? Okay, so this is the board has received and will file this, and there's no further action on the board. We'll go to the next item.
Item number 4 is the request for a proposal for commission auditing services.
Good afternoon again. As you're aware, the county auditor has served as the auditor for the Cable Commission for as long as I can remember, and that's in the commission bylaws. There is authority in the bylaws that allows the executive director to contract out for auditing services if the board approves it. Basically, recent auditing standards have come out, and we were informed by the county auditor that they can no longer serve as our auditor. That's deemed to be a conflict of interest. So with that change, this is a change that we're not proposing because we didn't want the county to be doing our auditing anymore. It's basically them telling us that they can't do our auditing anymore based on these standards. So with that, we're asking for your board to authorize us to do an RFP for auditing services and to delegate the authority for me to execute such a contract up to $50,000. And I'll certainly answer any questions you might have.
Any questions of Bob?
I'll move recommendation.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Item passes. Karen, next item, please.
Item number 5 is 2014 Commission Board meeting schedule.
And this item is very self-explanatory. It's the schedule, and we will put these in the calendars and cancel them as needed, as we won't have all of these meetings. The only thing I'll point out is that there are 2 meetings that are close to holidays, January 2nd and July 3rd, and we're just not going to put those into your calendars. We had some recent discussion about scheduling things on holidays, and so we're not going to do that.
Unless, obviously, if there's some emergency that comes up, then we could always hold that, correct?
Well, I'm proposing that we not hold those, but if an emergency does come out, we would schedule a special meeting.
Okay.
And that would probably be just as easy to do. Most likely, we wouldn't be able to get a quorum on those days anyway.
That's
so we always have the ability to schedule a special meeting, and that does not happen too often, but I would believe that we would be able to schedule a special meeting with a quorum prior to the next officially scheduled meeting.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Any other questions on the schedule from Bob? Okay. So we're just received and file this as well. No further action will be taken on this. And Karen, next time.
Item number 6 is general administrative report from Bob.
Okay, thank you, Karen, and I have several items for this administrative report. First, I want to introduce you to our new production director, Craig Feder. And Craig, could you please stand up? And
Hi, Craig.
Craig, as you know, is replacing the job previously held by Donna Wellborn, so he'll be our new production director. A little bit of background on him: he's worked 8 years as the media director for the Centerpoint Community Church, and he was operating and overseeing all aspects of video and audio lighting. He has budgeting experience, post-production audio and video experience, as well as a supervisor of paid staff and volunteer staff. The church had a lot of volunteer staff. With that, he will oversee the day-to-day operations of Metro Cable. We are really excited to have him on board. He's already met some of the member agency staff. I know he's already met with the city of Folsom, and we'll be doing some meet and greets with key people at the different member agencies to make sure that they know that we've hired Craig, which we've already noticed that. But just to make sure that they know about the transition and who to contact if they have questions or any needs from Metro Cable. And with that, I would like to welcome Craig on board. Okay. Want to point out we have another new staff person. So I think I pointed out at a previous meeting is that when you have a small commission staff and then you're down a couple of people, it really hurts. Karen has borne the brunt of that, as well as our Metro Cable staff. And everybody did an admirable job filling in. But now that we have more staff, it's more business as usual. With that, I want to introduce you to Laura Brown, and she's our new administrative senior office assistant. And she has previously worked in the DA office for the county. Laura, would you stand up and say aye?
Hi, Laura.
So I'm happy and relieved to have these 2 new staff members on board.
Oh, my.
Okay. With that, I'll try to do a quick update of some PEG projects that are going on. First, the City of Folsom is planning on upgrading the audio system starting in mid-October. I hear that that's much needed, so that's exciting to see that go forward. Citrus Heights is actually going to have a temporary chambers, and there's a mobile video recorder that's going to be made for them that's going to support that temporary relocation. Their temporary relocation is being delayed a little bit, but this mobile cart will be prepared by our Metro staff, most likely between January and February. In the city of Sacramento, there's the historic chambers that PEG funding has gone to restoring. That could be an alternate location for meetings, especially meetings if they get canceled here at the board during the construction of the board chambers project. We understand that by November that project should be up and running. And of course, I mentioned the county project, so I should talk about that one. As you can see, there's curtains up already, so the county has actually already started their upgrade to these board chambers. As we've said before, it's mostly an audio-video upgrade, a technology upgrade, if you will. There will be some changes, but, like the color and the facing and such, but like the dais isn't going to change significantly except for what's inside the dais. And there'll be more audio-video equipment, different controls and such. So that project is scheduled to be constructed mostly over the late November, December break when the board chamber is down. And I understand that it's not expected to disrupt any board meetings and that many other board meetings. And anybody who is impacted has been informed, and they're looking for alternate locations. So. And I don't know if we expect any cable commission meeting before the end of this year. So if we had a November meeting, we might actually have to locate to a different place. I don't anticipate a November meeting, but if we did, we would have to relocate. But with that, by the time we have our next cable commission meeting, this room could look a little bit different. Let's see. And with that, I think that's the most significant things I wanted to talk to you in regards to PEG projects. But the PEG money is coming in, and the PEG projects continue to go. So it's exciting to see these changes. And I have one more thing, and I kind of already mentioned it, but the remaining 2013 schedule will be called as needed. So I don't anticipate a need for a meeting unless a settlement requires it.
Most likely, if there was to be a meeting, it would be sometime in November.
So if that happened in November, we might call a special meeting or find an alternate location. But we will coordinate that with the chair, as we always do, and we'll keep you informed of that. And I believe that's the rest of my status report.
Did you want to give a brief update on the compensation and classification study?
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that one. As we talked about at a previous meeting, we have contracted out with a firm that's doing a compensation and classification study. The consultant has met with staff and has done interviews, have examined job descriptions, and is currently revising job descriptions. And we expect, and is also doing surveys of member agencies and other private entities and similar entities, as we discussed when this item was aired before your board. We expect that findings will be presented at a board meeting probably early next year. Okay.
Perfect. Any questions for Bob? Okay,
that's all I have.
All right, Bob, thanks. Karen, next item.
Item number 7 is state franchisee reports, and I don't believe any of the representatives are present.
I don't have any speaker slips for them as well, so I guess we'll move on to the next item.
Okay, item number 8 is channel licensee reports. And you do have speaker slips on those?
Yes, I have 3
Okay.
speaker slips. I have David, Gary, and Liz in that order. So David, you're on.
So the last time I spoke with you, I said that KVIE had been nominated for 2 Emmy Awards. I'm happy to say that I'm showing you one, because it was an honor just to be nominated, and we went to the event hoping to get the Station Excellence, which is for a PBS station unheard of even to be nominated. So we knew that was a little bit of a long shot. But when it came time for Best Interview Discussion Special, our table started to get very excited. We felt like we had a great chance when they talked about the nominees. And then they said that Studio Sacramento won the Emmy. So we were delighted. And I just spoke with the subject of the interview. She's a survivor of human trafficking. And she was just on the Katie Couric show that's going to debut on another channel in a couple of weeks. And she was with John Walsh, who's with America's Most Wanted, and they talked about human trafficking. So I told her how proud of her I was. And she wrote back and said that the interview she had with KVIE in Studio Sacramento was the best ever that she had had on the topic of human trafficking. So thank you for the support that you give to KVIE and for allowing us to do what we do.
You got a lot of, huh?
Yeah, congratulations.
David, may I say a few words?
Sure,
Did you want to
absolutely.
take a picture of it?
You know, I would love to.
I'm making it
I would
available
love
for
to.
pictures. I travel with it.
Well, considering I was on the board for a number of years, and I just wanted to say congratulations to the station and all of the work that you've done since becoming the director. And obviously, you know, we know each other. I was there I guess maybe 10 years ago or so. And so I followed KVIE though, and I think all of us can state that we're very proud that you've carried on the wonderful tradition that we have, and I think this is an example of your leadership. And so, again, just congratulations to you and the good work that you're doing.
Thank you, sir. We love presenting programs like Downton Abbey and Frontline, but we also love producing programs like Studio Sacramento, Rob on the Road, and the rest to make this community come together through those stories. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Okay, Gary, you're on.
Well, I suppose that this is the first attempt to imitate Ron Cooper. And let me just say that the transition into the new executive director has gone smoothly, and I'm pleased overall with the way things have gone now in a full 2 months of replacing a guy who had been there for 27 years. So the business partnerships, the membership, the staff, the affiliations that we have with a variety of different groups are all moving smoothly. The board of Access Sacramento has met and renewed and reviewed its strategic plan. We're in year 2 of a 3-year kind of cycle, and the board is active as a volunteer board, reaffirmed the mission and vision statement. All of those things have gone smoothly, and so I'm really excited about having a very active 13-member board right now, with 2 new appointees expected at our meeting next week, 2 weeks from now. We have had an opportunity to meet with commission staff, with Bob and Harry and Karen, and that went very smoothly as well. And I promised them that we would be good stewards of your money and the things that you do to support us, and so we thank you for that as well. You know that you support our Hometown TV and Game of the Week efforts. That's underway. We had our first game for football last Friday, and continue with that this coming Friday, so that's all going smoothly. On the Hometown TV side, very active already. Number of events already covered. We have several more in the planning stages, which includes coverage of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Latin Day in South Sac, well, actually more in downtown Sacramento. We're also doing a employed and underemployed workshop that's out of the city of Elk Grove. So a variety of things that are planned for our Hometown TV events. Our outreach with production equipment to the nonprofits continues. Asian Resources, the Nonprofit Resource Center, Sacramento County Library, will be putting out an RFP for an additional production center using a new TriCaster, new tech TriCaster very soon. So we'll be placing more equipment for use in the franchisees area, so that you don't have to necessarily come to downtown and to the Coloma Center in order to create productions. We're partnering with the Sacramento Chamber to do a variety of business outreaches through the equipment that's available at our studio as well. And of course, the last big event coming up for this year is the place called Sacramento Film Festival. We're almost 1 month away. We'll be at the Crest on October 6th with our big 10-film showing of movies, all created by and for Sacramento residents about the County of Sacramento and our area. It's exciting times, our 14th year, and I have tickets in my bag for anybody who wants to buy them. But October 6th at 1 p.m., you're all invited, and thank you for all your support of Access Sacramento.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Is that
Thank you very
done?
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our last speaker, Liz.
Good afternoon. I have just a very short report, and I would say it's boring, except it's BestNet, so it's not. But we're doing really well with BestNet, right on target for this year, and even a little bit ahead with Comcast for next year. Seems like you get into a new program, elementary schools, things just don't seem to occur the way they did previous years, but knock on wood, things are going very well and we're right on track, which means we only have a few years left. And then after how many years this will be done. So everything's good with that. The big thing I wanted to let you know today is that SECC has been working on for about a year now, bringing new and different programming to Sacramento. We've had some changes at our community colleges in terms of the types of programs or the types of classes that they can air. So we took a look at, as a group, we took a look at what kinds of programs were being aired in Sacramento, what the needs were in Sacramento, and how we could enhance that and do more with what we had. So if you look at our program schedule for this fall, you'll see some pretty significant changes. We're doing a much heavier emphasis on student productions, and thank you for your PEG funding for our SIVA labs. We've got field equipment going out to the schools, the 2 labs that we're starting next week. We've doubled the amount of student-produced programs. Any program that's being produced by students, we are now getting into our schedule and promoting it within the school districts, with the school boards, and out into the community. So that's a real big one. We've also been working with our schools to find additional programs that folks didn't even know, were out there. We're bringing in a lot more programming from NASA. We're bringing in some really interesting programs from the U.S. Geological Survey that no one even knew were out there. And what we're finding is that these are being used by teachers, in their classrooms, and so cable in the classroom is becoming more and more important. At the community level, what we've been able to work out with the community colleges that's very exciting is we're bringing back by popular demand, if you will, some programs that were of significant interest to the community, but not necessarily programs that people in the community or classes that they would sign up for. For example, a digital layout, introduction to web and interactive technology, some exploring exploring society, marriage and families. So a lot of things that were done with adult ed that are now coming back out of the community colleges, we've been able to get the right locally produced programs to be aired on a regular basis on our channels. So it's something that we're in the process of still developing. Our concept is to never do any repeats, because that's why we have DVRs. We don't need to repeat programming. And the other thing is to bring resources to this community that we really haven't acknowledged or we didn't even know existed in the past. And also doing a tremendous amount of professional development. You probably all have heard the term Common Core, which is huge in education right now. A lot of parents are dealing with it, have no idea what it is. That's a huge push that we're working on. So we're working with schools, with teachers and students to get the information out to the community. And this is all made possible by your support and the fact that we have access to these channels, and they are very important. And we're proud of the work that we're doing. We feel like we're kind of turning a new page, looking at what's the best way to get information out to our schools, to our teachers, to our parents, and to our community. And so thank you very much for your continued support on making this all happen.
Thank you, Liz. Any questions for her?
No, I was just commenting, said that's a novel idea, no reruns, I like that.
That's the intent. And actually, we're getting pretty close to it. We've condensed for this semester, we've been able to condense the programming and schedule all of the classes. We still carry quite a few classes, but we have them on 3 channels, so we've been able to, for this semester, to give the 1 channel back to access to program, so they have that. And the idea is, and it's something that we've long talked to Bob about, is the idea is what is really the best use of these incredible resources. A lot of communities just don't have these channels, so we're taking it seriously.
Good. Thanks, Liz.
Thanks.
Thank you, Liz. Karen, next item.
Item number 9 is to receive comments from the public.
Members of the audience may comment on any items of interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes or less if a large number of requests are received. I don't think we're going to have that problem today. No action may be taken on non-agenda items raised under public comment until the matter has been specifically included on the agenda as an action item. If a member of the public wants a response to a specific question, they are encouraged to contact commission staff or any other commission board members. Currently, we don't have any speakers signed up. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to come forward at this time? Then we'll close this item and go to the next item.
Next item, we adjourn.
We adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you.